I have been a fan of romantic comedy anime for a long time, but I have a hard time finding one with actual romance in it. Most of them tend to devolve into something overly dramatic towards the end, or turn into a magical girl thing, or have the couple never really get to share their feelings with one another because the fireworks were too loud. Look, I'm just still really mad at Nozaki-kun. What a stupid ending. Finally though, a satisfying rom-com has arrived. I just watched Tomo-chan is a Girl. A fun anime TV romantic comedy about a red-haired, hard-hitting tomboy named Tomo and her friend June, an athletic martial artist who loves to push himself to new heights of fitness. Tomo will try to win June's affection by showing him that she is indeed a girl to be wooed. Perhaps June will finally be able to see his best friend as a real girl and not just a buddy to do karate with. I'm content to say that this is finally a rom-com that delivers. Even though it has some of the typical anime cliches, it still plays with your expectations just enough to be refreshing. It shows that you can have a physically strong female character without having to emasculate the boys. It's okay to have actual romance and not end the show abruptly before the couple can say, Let's start with the characters. Our main character Tomo is an athletic tomboy who has short red hair and a little fang that pokes out. She awkwardly wears a short skirt with shorts underneath and is awkward wearing dresses. She is the product of a super manly dad and a tough, frazzled mother. She has been training in karate and can beat up most people, men or women. She is feared by most of the women, and the men underestimate her. In fact, she hangs out with June because he can actually challenge her. She likes to be strong, but unlike more feminist stuff like Maid-sama, where the character has to be better than all the men because girl boss, Tomo just likes a challenge. I mean, she'll fight you if you want, but she's not going to bully you. She doesn't back down from a fight though, and is very proactive and likable. June is the typical strong male character, who also likes to be athletic, but he used to sit on his butt and play video games a lot as a kid. When he started hanging out with Tomo, she was much stronger than him, and if he wanted to keep up, he would have to move away from the games and toward the dojo. He also gives the game console to Tomo so that if he ever beats her, she will give it back. June is a good companion to Tomo due to his loyalty and competitive spirit. He is very dense and is unable to see the girlish aspects in his friend. It is mentioned that he's very horny, just able to control it very well, like he does also with most of his emotions. Gundo, yes, I call her by her last name, is also a longtime friend of Tomo's. On the surface, she is your typical man-hating, moody, stoic, flat-chested tsundere. She has pretty dark hair and sits somewhere in the middle between tomboy Tomo and the more girly Carol. She likes to be in control and is able to manipulate people using whatever tactic will work. This is probably why she doesn't have many friends. She will often reject the girly hugs of Carol and the advances of that one guy with the orangish red hair who fancies her. Of course, I forgot his name because he only shows up when it's convenient. Despite being a bit off-putting, she has a soft spot and will do anything to keep a friendship with Tomo, even if she has to sacrifice a bit of her own happiness in the process. Of course, she doesn't start out this way. I feel that being forced to play Cinderella in the school play later in the show is the catalyst that helps her slowly develop into a more relaxed character, literally letting her hair down, along with her strong defenses. Then there's Carol, who I think is the comic relief. A floaty, dead-eyed, blonde, busty, foreign, rich girl who seems to drift through life as though in some kind of dream world. She is the complete opposite of Tomo and dresses as girly as possible. She attaches herself to Gundo, who really tries to push her away, but eventually she will become friends with the group. In fact, without her, Gundo would probably be lost as her friends begin to couple up near the end, but Carol is able to reel her back in, but not without some fun, pranky stuff that happens between them. She adds a bit of the bizarre to an already goofy series, and despite being really strange, she will also find romance and belonging. Other characters are the aforementioned guy who likes Gundo, the parents of Tomo, Carol's mom, who is doing her best Satono Diamond impression. She's really weird. There's the blonde guy, Misaki, who ends up dating Carol after a scene involving one of Gundo's biggest manipulations gets them together. What's cool about his character is that he does martial arts and starts to get stronger, avoiding or at least improving upon the effeminate girly guy cliche as we see in a lot of other shows. The show begins with Tomo making her confession to June, and June being quite dense and not getting the point. The episode also shows their friendship and the fact that she punches him a lot. Gundo shows up and gives her some pointers on being more girly. Her parents are introduced, with her dad being a tough guy and a bit overbearing. Other characters are introduced and some funny scenes emerge. The rest of the episode sets up their relationship and the awkward problems that occur when romance begins to appear in certain relationships. There is also a reveal that what Tomo thinks makes her a woman is based on cliches and not reality. She has a lot to learn. Let's speed this up a little bit. Here are some notable things that happen in each episode to give you an idea, along with a little bit of analysis. Episode 2. Carol shows up. There's a gag about not bringing dumbbells to class. Apparently, Carol's defenselessness makes her appealing to guys. There is a scene that mentions that the blonde guy and Carol might be related, but not by blood. You know, I actually forgot this was in there, but I guess they had to throw this done to death cliche in there. The rest of the episode is basically the Carol show, and she is weird and funny sometimes, but mostly just weird. June also reveals that he went out with Gundo for a bit in the past, and for a bit I mean 3 days. Episode 3. Tomo goes on a date and tries to wear more girly clothes, which really doesn't work very well. June tells her that she inspired him to try more ambitious things. The karaoke cliche happens with Tomo singing a children's song. June starts to see something in Tomo. Episode 4. Tanabe. Oh right, the guy who likes Gundo is Tanabe. That's his name. Whatever. There's more weird Carol stuff showing Gundo's refusal of intimacy. Tomo is still chasing the idea of femininity. Lots of hugs. We meet Tomo's parents and learn about the age-old chivalry thing of men desiring to protect women. The characters are encouraged by this. More weird Carol stuff. A mean guy shows up and Tomo kicks him real hard. I also like Tomo's protective nature that she probably got from her dad. This earns her some rapport with the girls. Then June beats up the mean guy's gang and they apologize to Tomo. They go to Carol's house and learn that Carol is really rich. Carol is also really good at Go. I guess, which is funny because, she's supposed to be dumb. This joke happens 2 times. We also meet Gundo's mom, who doesn't like Carol. LOL. Tomo and June have an all-nighter, play video games, and the mandatory half-naked awkward shower scene cliche happens. Episode 6. Tomo gets a makeover by Carol and Gundo, and she's kind of hot. Just needs an orthodontist. She meets June and pretends to be someone else. But we really don't know if June knows it's her. Cheek stretch, punch. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Or not. They show Tomo's wide back, and June thinks about how much her strength encourages him. Like when he has to beat up a bigger guy later in the episode who's trained in judo. Episode 7. The first part is a flashback when they became friends. And the second half is the obligatory beach scene.
Hoo-hoo.
Tomo reveals her greatest weapons. The squishing of boobs between an arm cliche happens. Twice. June struggles with people thinking that he and Tomo are dating, but June finally seems to see Tomo as more of a woman now. I mean, how could you not at this point? Episode 8. Sleepover. June reflecting on Tomo's confession from the beginning. Tomo reflecting on if June is into her or not. Gundo reflecting on how it was her who got Tomo to think about being more feminine. Gundo also thinks about how she can manipulate June a bit more. Her feelings are complicated, and that's great. She is torn between her or her friend's happiness. Tomo wears a yukata. June's feelings intensify. Then the festival fireworks-kun cliche happens. June realizes that he wants to be more tender and not so rough with Tomo. Gundo calls Carol a squishy bitch. Then the gang of bad guys shows up and gets tasered. Lol Carol. Gundo and Carol hide from the bad men. Everyone is concerned and goes looking for them. Lol Carol squishy face. June and Tomo beat up some bad guys. Blonde guy tries to do the same. Soft, gentle hand touch, excited Tomo. Episode 9. Backstory of Kid Carol and Blonde Guy. Then Blonde Guy starts training harder, but isn't quite there yet. But Carol notices. Carol goes to June's house for some reason. Oh, she wants to bother him because he overreacts around women. This is what happens when you hang out with Gundo. Sudden hug. June realizes that he never settled his score with Tomo to get his game system back. You know, the deal they made as kids? Lol, Carol. Gundo makes Blonde Guy confess his love for Carol in a domestic girlfriend kind of way. He doubts that he could be the right man for Carol because Gundo suggested it. So Gundo can manipulate everyone by getting Carol to finally be vulnerable so Blonde Guy can move in. It's kind of messed up, but that's exactly what Gundo does. She says some not nice things and makes Carol cry. No one makes Carol cry. When Carol is sad, everyone is sad. But Carol and her blonde friend are finally able to confess their feelings in a sode-dode children sort of way. Gundo is quite the double-edged sword, isn't she? Episode 10. Big Race Day. Kinda. Tomo can't finish her race because of a fever. After June carries her home, there's a funny scene where Tomo demands to be carried again, but while conscious this time. Eventually, June goes to see her and she gives the game system back. After thinking about things, June begins to see a cute side of Tomo. Episode 11. The part-time job cliché happens. Everyone works at a ramen place. I do really feel sorry for this guy, he's probably nice. But just can't get a piece of the Gundo. Lol, Carol. Back at the school, Tomo has more discussions about how to be more womanly. Funny Gundo face. The plan is for Gundo to push June on the stairs and have June fall into Tomo's boobs. You know, plan the cliche in advance instead of just letting it happen. And it would have worked, but lol, Carol. Guy who likes Gundo gets her number during a moment of weakness after falling down the stairs. Then the random Cinderella play at the school festival cliche happens. Gundo gets a cold and the role of Cinderella, but she's not happy about it. Tomo gets to play the prince. All the girls swoon around Tomo cliche happens. Pretty Gundo. June as a tree. Episode 12. All the moms are together. The play goes just fine and ends with a fist bump. Maid cafe cliche. The festival is drawing to a close. Time for strange dancing around a fire. Gundo is single and unhappy, but chooses to ignore the totally nice available guy right next to her. But Carol is able to give Gundo some companionship. Then June hints that the idea of people thinking they are a couple might be just fine with him. Tomo is stunned and runs away to avoid awkwardness. Then tries to avoid it the next day. Then runs away again to avoid it. Now, here are some big spoilers for the ending, so you may want to watch episode 12 and 13 before watching the rest of this video, or just skip to this part in the video. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. June is finally in love with Tomo, and as in most rom-coms where the couple never really get together or they make up some excuse for them not to kiss or something, this is where the show finally delivers. Gundo and June are still not friends, but they have a nice push and pull relationship. Even when June is telling Gundo that he never really loved her, it was his concern for her that kept him from expressing his true feelings for Tomo. Gundo does her typical manipulation, but June can see right through the ruse at a girl who actually cares about her friends in a tsundere kind of way. I guess they can keep being frenemies. June reveals to Tomo on the rooftop that he always knew that she was in love with him from the beginning, but didn't know about the girly things she tried to do. Then he confesses his feelings and she calls him a dumbass and leaves. Yeah, this happens a lot in rom-coms. Gundo apologizes because the whole time Tomo never needed to change. She was perfect the way she is. And she finally breaks, knowing that she needs to let go of her hold and literally let Tomo go. One last lol Carol joke, and the two finally confess to each other in a cute scene on the stairs. Normally, that's where the show would end. But episode 13 is a great closure to the show, and it's what takes this from an average rom-com to a very satisfying one. Tomo and June date. They go to a racy movie and have those typical anime jitters, but at least it's as a couple who have both agreed to go out. But they are not official yet because they don't have the blessing of Tomo's father. It's typical to go to the father when wanting to date or marry their daughter, but this is anime and that has to be taken up to extremes. So we will settle this by combat! June must defeat Tomo's father in karate, which is awesome. So they fight, in the typical shonen kind of way. And despite Tomo almost jumping in, and Tomo's mom trying to interfere, June pulls a Saitama and gets permission to date Tomo. Then they actually have the kiss, which is cute and not always a guarantee in your typical rom-com. A kiss in a rom-com is like icing on a really good chocolate cake or glazed donut. In the end, this show doesn't break any real ground in originality, but with so many anime romantic comedies shortchanging us on the romance angle, and having the couple not get together, or leaving the relationship in the same place it started at, or having Fireworks-kun ruin it, or having a mutual understanding between love interests or blah 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 blah. I want two characters to have a romance and seal it with a kiss. I will settle for nothing less in my rom-coms and romantic dramas, and if you're like me and you're tired of romantic comedies without the romance, give Tomo-chan is a Girl a watch. This is Dan T from Twisted Banana Productions, saying goodbye with an awkward hug from behind.